Hi, I'm Angie TEEMS. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you. Hi, I'm Angie TEEMS. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Dean Kelly with the Georgia Transparency Coalition, and once again it is election time here in Northwest Georgia and in Walker County specifically, and we're visiting with Angie TEEMS today, who is a candidate for the Walker County Commission. She's running for chairman, and we're going to introduce you to her today and let her just let you know a little bit about who she is. Angie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dean.
It's a pleasure to be here. You have a wonderful home, and we're looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better. So for those who do not know you, just give a little bit of background, who you are, who Angie TEEMS is, your family life, that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to get to know you also.
Mm-hmm.
My background came from Rossville, Georgia. That's my home address. I grew up there. I actually went to Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe High School, and when I graduated there, I immediately went to college. I got a paralegal degree, which is an associate's degree right away. So I started off my career in law. I was in two legal fields in Chattanooga. And in the middle of that, I met my husband, Scott.
That's wonderful. We
had a long engagement. He was in college too. And we married, and after 15 years, we ended up having the desire to own our own property, which is what brought us to Chickamauga. Scott is actually from Rock Spring. That's where his family has been for over 100 years.
Wow.
He graduated from Gordon Lee himself, and his dad did too. And that is where our daughter Ashley is there now, graduating this year from Gordon Lee.
Awesome.
From Rossville and Fort Oglethorpe, I went to Chattanooga State, and that's where I got my paralegal degree. I then went on up to Covenant College and got a bachelor's degree in organizational management. And then my career left the legal field and went straight to Blue Cross, although it was in the legal division at Blue Cross.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed kind of in the same field, but I learned more about management style there. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about how we got to Chickamauga.
Uh-huh.
Scott and I lived in East Ridge for about 15 years, and he didn't like it. And we wanted to gain some ground and get some property, and so we moved back to Chickamauga where his home turf is,
mm-hmm.
and we've been here ever since then. So over 20-something years we've been here.
Oh, wow, that's great. Well, tell us about your family. How many kids you got? You got all girls? Or?
No, just one girl.
One girl?
Yes, we started late in life. We were a little older because we wanted to get established.
Mm-hmm.
We were saving and trying to not get too much debt. And that's the way he was raised, that's the way I was raised, and that's the way we believe. Fiduciary responsibility is number one after God and country. And we believe that a little debt is okay. You got to get your foothold in there, but don't get over your head. So we're trying to teach Ashley the same thing, and she's a very good steward of her money as well.
Well, that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about what your work history, the things that you've done that makes you feel like you're qualified for this position.
Okay, yes, that's a question I've been getting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I qualified for this chairman of the board position? I've actually been on 4 boards myself, not as chairman, but I was in situations where I was asked to be on a board, and then I volunteered to be on boards. Mm-hmm. And they were different ones in Chattanooga for different organizations, some nonprofit, some for-profit. So I have the understanding of the dynamic of a board, being a board member for many years, and understanding the responsibility of a board member. It's kind of like being a trustee.
Yeah.
You are trusted with the responsibility of whatever that board is overseeing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that you are guided in a way that you can, it's either fiduciary or a servant responsibility. Then, to add to that, my experience at Blue Cross, I was able to work directly with the Federal Employee Program Group Employer, which is FEP. So every Blue Cross across the nation has a FEP program, and we have being our own. I was directly involved with them in their development of their I'll say the policy the part of the policy that I was responsible for with my team. So I don't want to get into too much detail; it's too confusing. But in the legal world, we had a lot of contract law that we were dealing with. So I'll put it that way. It was part of their contract that I had to interpret and negotiate things for them on separate things, different things. So it was FEP. We had Medicare, which was CMA. The TennCare program, which is the Medicare program in Tennessee. A lot of people know what TennCare is. So those are government entities completely, and I had to learn that what their rules were different than the commercial lines of business.
Right. Okay. Now, of course, up until recently, you were actually employed by Walker County HR department, correct?
That's correct.
Over that program.
Yes.
So, just give us a little bit of background. How did you wind up in that position? You know, what motivated you to want to do that to start with?
That's a great question too. I did not do HR at Blue Cross other than with my own staff. I had about 50 people working under me, 3 managers, 3 departments. And so I felt like having an HR certification gave me the credibility to be able to talk to my staff in areas of HR. And on top of that, the lawyer that I reported to was the HR department's, the lawyer was the direct counsel for our HR department at Blue Cross. So I was in her world all the time. And I was exposed to the HR world by her, but also I interjected myself in it because I always thought HR was fascinating, fun, exciting, dynamic. And like I said, I had my own staff, so I felt like having a qualification that the same HR people had, or the HR people had at our Blue Cross, it's the same certification, gave me credibility across the board. So that's what allowed me to be qualified to get the the Human Resources Director job at the county.
Oh, awesome. Well, here comes the big question. Being in government and being in the chairmanship, you're going to public eye and all that. You're going to get a lot of criticism and that sort of thing. That's the way politics is. So for someone to want to run for office, there has to be a big motivation there. So what is your big motivation to want to run for this position?
The main motivation I have is about the people. And I say people in general, but the people specifically, the taxpayers of this county. I don't believe, as a taxpayer myself, that we are getting the true value of our dollar. And then the other people that I'm talking about are the employees of the county. They are not treated with value. They're not given opportunities to expand their horizons. We're not opening up any horizons for new people to come want to work for the county, or other people who want to work in the county in other businesses. So it's kind of broad, and I hate to make it broad, but it is literally about the people. I love the people. I'm all about the people that are in this county, the taxpayers, the voters, my family. My entire family lives here. I want to see my child want to come back from college and work here, or at least live here.
Yeah.
But if there's not a future for them, opportunities, then what is there for them to come back here, or to stay here?
Okay. So let's say you are elected. What are going to be, say, your top priorities when you get in office? Things you feel like has to be paid attention to immediately.
That's a big question, because coming from the Human Resources Director position, I saw a lot of opportunity for improvement. But to narrow it down to today, I'm going to say that I'd like to better understand where our tax dollars are going. What are we paying all these taxes for? I'm not seeing it. I want to dive into that. I want to see if there's a way to reduce the taxes. Can't make any promises, but I'm already talking to the tax assessor in depth about opportunities that maybe we could work together and see. I'm also talking to Caduceus County and their tax assessor to see what they're doing to allow for tax breaks. Second thing is always the roads. Our roads, our ditches, the litter in our ditches is just unremarkable. And I don't like it as a resident. We cannot have a county that looks like this or has bad roads or ditches are unsafe or unclear because businesses are not going to come here. They don't want to come here for that kind of, if their infrastructure is not here, they're not going to come.
Yeah.
And probably the third thing I would say is I would go back to the employees. I really want to have a different image for our intergovernment. I want the employees to feel valued. I want the residents to feel like they're getting value out of their employees because we all work for well, I don't work there now, but when I did, I always told everybody when I was in a new hire environment, I said, you now work for the taxpayers. You don't work for me, you don't work for the chairman, you don't work for the board, you work for the taxpayers. They pay your bill, they pay your salary. And I want to make sure that they're getting their value out of us. Those are
That's a very good answer.
main things.
Well, let me just ask you a couple little curiosity questions. I meant to cut my phone off earlier and I forgot to. That's embarrassing. No, I don't need any spam. Just going back a little bit, I know this had to be a big decision for you because you were actually employed by the county working for Shannon. How long have you been in that position?
Just under a year and a half.
Okay. So how long ago did you start thinking about running and how long did it take you to make that decision?
That's hard to say. Last summer, I began to feel like I wasn't in the right place. Like I wasn't making a difference. My contribution wasn't being valued. And I thought, well, let's back up 1 second. So I retired from Blue Cross after right at 25 years. And I didn't think I would ever work again. I was perfectly happy being retired. And then I was told about the HR position and how I would be valued there. And I looked into it and I was qualified. So I interviewed and got the position. I was really excited. I thought, wow, this is really great. I'm going to have a nice job contributing to my county. I can 20 minutes out from my house instead of 40 minutes in Chattanooga.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was there maybe 6 months and I realized this is not really working for me. Because I was already offering ideas. I was offering suggestions. I was saying, hey, let's look at this. I think we can do this different. And I don't know all the answers. No one does know all the answers. But I'm a collaborative person. I love to work with people. I want to say, here's my idea. What's your idea?
Yeah.
And let's work together. And I won't always have the right idea or the best idea. But if you talk to a lot of people and you let them express their ideas, you're going to come up with the best idea for everybody.
That's right.
And
Everybody
that's
put their heads together.
That's right. That's all I want is just to have the best ideas for Walker County's future. And so that was where I started. That's where I started thinking about, but I'm not a politician. So that's the other thing. I was thinking, well, I can't run for chairman of the board. I'm not a politician. What am I doing? And talking to my husband, talking to some friends, and they said, it's a business, and you are a business person. And that is what we need, is a business-minded person that can think for the future, can think strategically, and explain to people in a normal way what the plan is.
Yeah, and this county, I think, has like a $40 million budget or right at that. So it's like a very large corporation that you're running when you're doing that. So you resigned how long ago? About a month ago or so?
Yes, about a month ago. That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So you let our current commissioner, Shannon Whitfield, you let him know you were running and that sort of thing?
I did. They were the board and Mr. Whitfield were the first ones I told.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like I said, that takes a lot of, it's something you had to be thinking about for a long time. So obviously you feel like you've got a lot to contribute.
Well, I had to.
Run.
Yes, sir. I had to think about it, but also contributed. I mean, I talked to my family, of course. The entire family wanted to know what because it exposes them. I mean, they are part of this. I prayed about it many times. Then went back and talked to my husband many times. Consulted our friends. So yeah, it was not a whim decision by no means.
Took you months
to
make that decision.
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, we visited with Angie TEEMS. Hopefully you got to know her a little bit better. You'll be hearing more from her in the future. And is there a way that people can contact you? You have a website or Facebook?
Yes,
or something?
our website is, our email is contact@angieteams.com. My website is angieteamsforchairman.com. And you can find me on Facebook too.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll be talking to you again soon.
Correct.
Hi, I'm Angie Teems. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you. Hi, I'm Angie Teems. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you.
Hello, Walker County. I'm Randy Pittman, and I'm with the citizens of Walker County and the Walker County, Georgia Media Group. This video is for information on Miss Teems, and it is not an endorsement. So we get that out of the way. Miss Teems, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you, and welcome to my home.
Yeah.
I am a local girl. I grew up in Rossville, went to Lakeview High School. I went to college in Chattanooga. Went to Covenant College on the Mountain and got a bachelor's degree, went on to the legal field, and that's where I spent the rest of my life, in the legal division of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. I was there 25 years and retired about 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And when I retired from Blue Cross, I was very happy being here on the farm and riding my daughter around between her horse racing and all of her training that she was doing for her rodeo experience. Mm-hmm. And then I heard about the Human Resources Division in the county government, and they needed a director. So I thought, well, I would apply for that because I'd like to give back to my community. And I was able to get the position and enjoyed it, really enjoyed meeting all the staff. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Good. Pretty impressive. It shows that you're well qualified for the job. So let's, what prompted you to run for chairman of the Board of Commissioners?
Not too far into my career there, I started seeing things that I thought were problems. And I would take them to the chairman and try to talk to him about it. And then I ultimately started taking problems to the board. And when things were not being addressed, and I felt like it was pretty serious things, then later in the, like maybe 6 months later, I felt like I couldn't work there anymore. I thought I'm not going to be able to make a contribution, make a difference. And then also seeing that my own dollars, my own tax-paying dollars, were not being used appropriately, in my opinion. Then started hearing the residents tell me that they were unhappy. There was just a lot of dysfunction, a lot of mismanagement, and it wasn't getting better. So I'm not a quitter, so I didn't want to just give up, and employees need a director, a HR person. So my husband actually said, why don't you consider running for office? And I said, I am not a politician. That is not in my wheelhouse. And so kicking it around with him, kicking it around with family, and praying about it, and coming to the conclusion that it's really a business. It is just a business being run by business people. Of course, politics isn't everything. It's in business, and you just got to learn how to adjust. And I was there a year and a half, just under a year and a half, and I learned a lot about the government and the processes and procedures of how government entities work. Not a lot of difference between regular business, just got to say.
Other than having to be responsible for the people's money that you're spending.
Exactly. That is the big difference right there. That's exactly it. So understanding that as chairman, that is a fiduciary responsibility. It's like a trustee. It's like being a servant of the people, and that made me even more excited about running, because I'm all about the people, and I've said that several times, that people are the foundation of our county, the foundation of our country, and you have to pay attention, and you have to treat them with respect, and give them what they need. As chairman, that's what you should do, and take care of the county, take care of the county buildings. So yeah, I just became super excited, and over the holiday season, my family and I decided that this was the right thing to do, and we were going to be all in. And then it took a few more months before we were able to be ready to actually announce, and so here we are.
Well, that's good. Since we was talking about the people's money, the T-SPLOSH tax, I feel like that's the fairest tax that you can have. Everybody that comes through our county has to, ante up a penny on the dollar. So how does T-SPLOSH help affect our budget yearly to where you don't have to pull that money out of the budget to pave roads?
Right. That's what it's all for. It's transportation. So while it's legal to use pieces of that for different types of transportation, the majority of it should be used on roads. And every county gets this opportunity to vote for T-SPLOSH in their own way, their own counties. So I believe that we have to focus on the real purpose of the tax and the benefit of having that.
And will you have a procedure or a policy, so to say, to put the roads that are most needed up front? I know from construction business that if I've got all my equipment in Rossville, well, we want to pave our roads there, so the equipment doesn't have to be moved.
There should be a formula, if you will, and I do believe that there is a formula now. The 50-mile plan this year is a good plan, and as long as we stick with it and stay with that, and be true to our promise that we're going to actually pave 50 miles of road.
That's a lot of road, especially when there's 600-700 miles.
Over 700 miles of road in our county.
That's a lot of roads.
That's right.
Well, let's if you're elected, what kind of manager are you going to be? Are you going to have an open door policy to where your department heads, county commissioners, developers or whatnot, they can come in and talk to you, other than leaving messages and voicemails, but to come in and say, and I understand that the commissioner, chairman, he's got a job, and they can't see everybody that walks in the door. Right. But how will you approach that?
So my mannerism, my characteristic is to be approachable. And when I had staff at Blue Cross, I did have an open door, not to overuse that term, but I did have an open door policy. And they knew they could come to me with anything. And now, when I was the HR director for the county, the employees trusted me. They came to me, or I went to them, and we talked about whatever we had to talk about. So part of that is transparency. You have to be honest with people, the good and the bad. You talk about both. Not everything you're going to say to somebody is going to be what they want to hear, but you've got to be brave enough to say what you got to say. And if it's an idea that you can't do, you explain why. But I believe talking to folks and letting them give you their opinions is very vital. Collaboration is huge for me. Anybody, from developers down to the employee, over to the residents, anybody that needs to speak to the chairman should have access to that person. To your point, though, about being out and about, because I do plan to be busy. I do plan to be active, very active with the community, very active with all the projects that's going on. The staff that is in the office will be trained to take care of the residents or any question that comes to them. And if they can't answer the question, my policy will be that within 24 hours, somebody will get back to them with the answer.
And I think that's one of the big things when you've decided to run and you're elected and your constituents can't communicate with you. You know, it's very important. So as HR director, you use over policies, I guess, drug-free policies. Will you enforce the drug-free policy?
Yes, it's a good policy. It needs to be updated. It's a little dated. And the board is actually in charge of policies and procedures. So whoever is appointed as the HR person when I get elected will work through with me and the board to establish a good set of policies, strong and current, and we will definitely enforce them. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think is the most pressing issue within the county government right now? With the employees, their morale, their well-being. You know, morale has a lot to do with the way you feel. Engagement.
That's right. Exactly. My training has been that the team has to have the same goal. You've got to be moving in the same direction towards something. Most companies have mottos, they have slogans, things like that. I'm not saying we need that, but I think the employees are looking for a vision. They are looking for what are we working for? What's the future of this county? And how can we be engaged to contribute to that? They want to contribute. And they are doing a fantastic job now with just a little bit of support that they have. So I want to support the department heads. I want to have department head meetings, which when I first came, I said, when's our first department head meeting? Well, I found out we don't have them. That was shocking to me. And then I learned how it was just appalling that the employees were treated the way they were. I was just shocked about our building maintenance. The buildings are not being maintained well. They're ruining. And these are public buildings that we're responsible for. So yeah, there's just many things I can talk about on that.
So what kind of relationship do you plan to have with the Board of Commissioners? I know you said earlier in maybe another interview that you've worked with each individual commissioner on something. So what kind of relationship do you want with the rest of the board?
It's an open door. I think that they need to be communicated with much more than they are now. I think they should be brought in to the day-to-day workings, not to where it's bogging them down, but just so they're aware of things. So it's not a shock. So that when we have our meetings every other week, it's not shocking when somebody stands up to say something and they didn't know anything about it that was going on. So letting them do that, letting them have a voice on a more normal basis, as much as they want to be involved, then I am all for involving them, but not bogging them down with the day-to-day. That should be handled by the chairman.
Yeah, and currently there's a lawsuit against a couple school board members on nepotism. So what do you think about the nepotism when it comes to county government?
Right. We have a policy that there is not to be any family members in the same department. I'll still follow through with that. And I've said to several people that I I'm coming into this job as I don't owe anybody anything. So I'm not going to hire my friend to do a job that they may not be qualified for. We'll go through the regular hiring processes, and if it is my friend, then I'll make sure that they are well qualified and the board is well aware, and that there are more than one person, more than me, making the decision that that person gets hired. But all my friends are working already, so they don't need a job.
Right. Something else, once a candidate is selected as the chairman of the board here in Walker County, he's automatically on the Water and Sewage Authority board. What do you believe is your role there, chairman? Because you can be chairman, you don't have to be chairman.
That's correct.
So, how will you work that in to spend that money compared to how you need to spend the county's money, because you're still representing the citizens?
Right, that's right. And it feels kind of like conflicting that you're taking one from the other. So I'll have to learn more about that chairman's role. But you're right that the chairman can choose to be on the chairman of that board or appoint someone. So I think initially I'll want to be the chairman for a bit of time, and I don't know how that appointment works, but I want to learn about it so that I'm fully understanding what decisions are made by that chair, so that I can pick the right person for that chair.
Yeah. And let's just talk quick about the Walker County Joint Development Authority.
JDA.
So, what do you think is that board or authority representing Walker County well? I'm not saying talk bad of them, but or is that authority doing what it's supposed to do for the citizens of Walker County?
There are a lot of questions. People have a lot of questions about the JDA. I believe that they probably do have a benefit and a purpose. I don't see it yet. I would like to see more about what they are investing in. We know that they just invested $1 million in the additional 100 acres to the industrial park, and people are scratching their head like, why do we need another 100 acres when we're not developing what's already there? So I think there's a lot of questions about that. Yeah.
And so, the properties there, the county, the Joint Development Authority has the property. So how do you work? Because you'll be a member of the Joint Development Authority. How do you work to help bring businesses in, good tax-paying businesses?
Right, and that's a really important thing, because we want to take the burden off the taxpayers. Our taxes are way too high, and I think the JDA is a great opportunity to try, if we can get them moving in the right direction. And I'm not saying they're not now, because I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently about it. But my vision is to get medium-sized market businesses here. We have to develop things pad ready for people to be, our businesses to want to come here. We can't expect them to spend all the money to move here, because other counties are doing it for them, and that's more attractive. We don't have the freeway here, so we have to really make it look attractive to businesses to come in. We don't want big industry, big smokestacks and that kind of stuff. But medium market businesses, I think we should focus on. We should also focus on our current small businesses, and if they want to grow, we should help them do that. And how do we do that? Do we provide warehousing space for them? Do we provide bigger lots? What do we do? So those are questions that are beyond my scope at this point. Yeah. But I do have some ideas about that. And when you have ideas that you don't know about, you get other people that do know, and you bring them in, and maybe the JDA does know. So those are just questions that I have in my mind. Yes.
Well, it's been very informative.
Thank you.
Tell the people of Walker County what sets you off to run against whoever else qualifies next week. Qualifying's March 4th through the 8th. That's next week. Just tell us what sets you off. And,
okay. Yes, I believe that my corporate experience, my education, and general training is vastly deeper than my opponent. I believe that I care deeply for the residents, care deeply for the employees. I've shown that, and I've lived that, and that will continue through my office, my staff, and myself. So yes, that's what sets me apart.
Well, so there you go. First candidate. As I spoke earlier, this is not an endorsement. We'll be doing a series of videos with other candidates for sheriff, board of commissioners. Hopefully we can get a couple of the judges that are running to interview to give you the information you need to make an informed vote. So thank you, Ms. Teams, for
Thank you
inviting
very
us into your
much.
lovely house.
Appreciate you.
And we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Angie TEEMS. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Dean Kelly once again with the Georgia Transparency Coalition, and we are here today with Angie Teams, who is running for the Walker County Commission. She's running for chairman, and this is going to be part 3 of a series of videos that we have been doing with her. So if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, please go look at part 1 and part 2, and we're going to go with part 3 today because we have a lot of information that we want to continue to unpack and let you all get to know her as well as you possibly can before we have our primaries here real soon. Angie, thank you for letting us visit with you again.
Thank you for being here.
Again, you have a wonderful home. We got a beautiful day out here today, so we decided we'd come outside and shoot the video out here. So let's get down to it. You're running for Walker County Commission. You've been working in county government for about 1.5 years. Of course, you resigned as the head over HR. But the question I want to get to today, which is a big question, is that when our current commissioner or chairman of the commission, Shannon Whitfield, ran for office, Baby Haskell was in office, and our county was in some severe financial trouble at that time. Thinking back on it, of course, we had Hutchinson Hospital. Our bond rating was in the basement. I think we were at junk bond status. We had I know there's been different numbers floating around, but around $70 million or so of debt. And there was a lot of complaints about what was going on at Mountain Co Farms because a lot of money had been dumped in there, and we were in dire straits. And actually, those B.B. Haskell years is what really led to having the Board of Commissioners that we have today.
That's true.
So my question to you is not trying to speak for Shannon or anything, but I've talked to other people, and basically the feedback that I'm getting is that we had that $70 million of debt. Now it's down to under $20 million. The Erlanger debt has been paid. That's a thing of history now. Our bond rating has increased. I think it's AA. I don't really know for sure, but I think it's AA status now. So with all those improvements, why would the citizens of this county want to change and have a new chairman of our commission?
That is a good question. That's a deep question. There's a lot of fingers in that, a lot of ways to answer that. I would first start off by saying that we really don't know how much debt we were in from the high school administration. There's been different numbers floated around, 70, 80, 50, 60. I mean, all the numbers have been said out there in different venues about how much we were in debt. So I really do not know, and I'm not sure anybody really does know how much debt we were in. And I'm all for getting us out of debt. I don't think we should be in great debt. Every business is in debt to some degree.
It just has to be managed.
It has to be managed. That's right. So don't be afraid of debt, but we don't want to be in great debt by no means. My husband and I have always lived in that manner anyway in our personal lives, and I will continue that way of thinking in the chairman's role. I will not continue to put the debt on the backs of the taxpayers, though, which is what has been happening. The taxpayers have been burdened with the debt from the Erlanger fiasco, and like you said, the debt from the purchase of all the things that Miss Haskell did. Yes. So
Of course, this is the Haskell administration. They kept throwing good money after bad into Erlanger for quite a long time before facing the obvious
that's
to rob
exactly
us
right.
taxpayers. Yeah.
Yes. So we have felt, as taxpayers, we've felt that for 7 years beyond when that debt was paid off in the Erlanger days. There's got to be a relief soon. We all cannot sustain this level of increased debt or increased taxes that happens every year. And I have been already working with Terry Gilreath, our tax assessor, to find ways that we can offer maybe more home exemptions, age exemptions. There are things that other counties do that we could apply the same concept for our communities, and we're not doing it.
Okay. Now, some other feedback that I'm getting is that Shannon is reducing the debt by not providing the necessary services or not maintaining some buildings and things of that nature. Anything you know about that, or you want to talk about?
I know firsthand about that, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm hearing that in my town hall meetings as well. People that are going into our public buildings that we own, it is literally the people of the county that own these public buildings. The chairman's role is to keep them safe, keep them available for public to use no matter what their ability is. And there are public buildings that even wheelchairs can't go in.
Not wheelchair accessible.
That's correct. Not safe to walk on the floors. The ceilings are leaking. This book right here, my binder, has many pictures of all the buildings that need...
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That need repair and have needed repaired for 7 years. For example, the courthouse, which is a national treasure, or a historical treasure for the state, it was in disrepair 7 years ago. It needed a roof. It needed some general maintenance. 7 years fast forward with no maintenance, no new roof. The fourth floor is inhabitable. We cannot use it. It's completely blocked off. It has been barred from anybody using the fourth floor of the courthouse in Lafayette.
Oh, wow.
It has mold. The plaster's falling off. It is not safe at all. The problem is that the roof, like I said, needed to be repaired or needed to be replaced. It has not. It only has been repaired and patched on. There was a judge on the third floor that had the ceiling fall in on his assistant's desk. causing thousands of dollars of damage to the floor that had to be replaced, the desk had to be replaced, the computers had to be replaced. And it's my understanding that that judge has now made the current chairman find a new location for him and his assistant. I think that is underway right now. That means the third floor is soon to become inhabitable.
Wow.
And this is our county courthouse.
Wow. That's got to be really kind of an embarrassment, for the
I'm
for the
embarrassed
county.
for people to come here and lawyers and people from other states and other counties in Georgia. They come here for their court cases, and they see the dilapidation that's taking place in that one building. Now we have multiple buildings. I think we own over 80 buildings that are public public owned by our tax dollars, and the majority of them are in the same type of disrepair and dilapidation.
Wow.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that is one of the primary roles of the chairman of the county, to take care of our public buildings. That's what our tax dollars are supposed to be spent on.
Yeah, and wasn't there an accident here not too long ago? I don't know,
It's
a year
been
or so
about
ago?
3 years ago
Has
now.
it been 3 years? Well, time flies when you get old like
So
that.
if you've been to, if you've been to Lafayette to see the courthouse, or even near the courthouse, there's a big yellow caution tape around the front of it. It's been there for 3 years. The county actually got the insurance money from that accident, but that money was not paid. It was obviously not paid to repair it because it's still in disrepair. We also had 2 contractors who live in the county offer their free service if we would purchase the materials to pay to repair the front steps that were damaged. We did not take them up on that free service.
Wow. Speaking of that accident and the insurance money, so what's happened with that insurance money? Is it just sitting somewhere, or do you have any idea what's going on?
I have no idea where that insurance money went to.
Just sitting in an account, I guess, waiting to be used for.
Or it was spent on something else. I have no idea.
Okay. Now, what about the other constitutional officers and the other offices in the county that provide public service? I mean, are there any issues there, or are they receiving the funding that they need, or do you have any idea what's going on with those other issues?
It's still the same. The magistrate's office, the probate office, the elections office, all of those offices are similar to the courthouse. The elections office and the probate office are in the courthouse, so they are experiencing mold, sickness. It's just unsafe. They've had to purchase, the magistrate's office has to purchase their own air purifiers, air cleaners, so that their staff doesn't continue to get sick from the mold and the water damage that's in that building.
Okay. All right, let's suppose you win the election. What are you going to do about those issues with the courthouse, and how soon would you jump on that?
Well, there's so many things that need to be the first thing that happens.
Yeah.
So
A lot of first things, right?
those are keeping our staff safe, keeping our employees safe, keeping our residents safe, keeping our visitors safe is absolutely number one priority. We've got to put money back into our buildings that we use publicly. Otherwise, we are exposing ourselves to liability and lawsuits and workers' comp claims.
Health issues, of course.
That's
with
exactly
mold and
right,
things like
yes.
that. Yeah. So obviously that'd be something that'd have to be jumped on rather quickly. Should have never gotten this condition.
And now it's going to cost even more money because it wasn't taken care of all along. Imagine your own property, if you didn't keep it up for 7 years, your own property would be falling down around you. It would be overgrown. It would be probably leaking. You cannot leave property unattended like that.
Well, that brings up another good point too. We do have code enforcement that's supposed to make us, we as citizens that keep our homes in condition, our grass cut and things like that.
Yes,
but yet we have buildings in our county that are.
Right.
in
We're
bad
very
shape.
quick to jump on a citizen who may have a overgrown yard. We're real quick to jump on somebody that has things in their front yard that look like they're junk to some people, but we're not able to take care of our own property in the county. That's a good point.
Wow.
Where is OSHA in all this?
And as you move on through the county and you have your meetings with people and you talk to the citizens, and of course I know you have social media and all that, what are the big concerns that the citizens of this county have or that they express to you?
The most popular one is the taxes. The amount of tax increases every single year. They don't understand it, and it's almost breaking them. And some people have had to sell because of the tax increases. They don't understand why. They don't understand where the money's going. The second thing is probably the way that the litter on the side of the roads. And I'm not doing this in order necessarily, but
Yeah.
the number one thing was the taxes for sure. But people have asked about litter. They've asked about the Mountain Cove Farms. They've asked about that, the future of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's like I said, there's a lot of things that need to be done first. So it depends on who you're talking to, what their first important thing is.
And of course, like on the property values going up, of course, we all know that property values have gone way up because there's so many people moving into this area from all over the country, moving into North Georgia as well as the Chattanooga area.
Way, high
And really
prices.
pushing the real estate values up, and the only way that the county can really deal with that is to roll back the millage rate, which I know
That's
they've
right.
done that before, but the property right, like I said, the property values just keep really going up extremely fast. Mountain Cove Farms. What should be done with Mountain Cove Farms?
Well, that's a moving target because different people think different ways. Can it make money? Yes, it can, but how much money is it going to take to get it to where it can make money?
Mm-hmm.
It's making money now. It's not just sitting there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear it's making a little money.
There are people that are renting the cabins. There are people that are camping. There are people that are renting the show barn for or a venue. It could do better if it was kept up to, but it's like all the other buildings that we have. It's just not being kept up.
Yeah.
And the EPA even came out and said they were going to shut that place down if we didn't do certain construction on some of the buildings, some of the livable, the
Yeah.
rentable places.
Yeah,
the cabins.
those are some old cabins.
Yes, they are old cabins, but they're fine. They're in fine condition. The bones are there. It's just keeping the gutters and just stuff you would do that you don't normal your own house. Just keep it up. So we were able to really quickly. Our maintenance people were really quickly fix those things that the EPA said had to be fixed before we rented it anymore, and we're continuing on. They're continuing on. So the folks out there are doing a great job trying to maintain what they got at the small budget that they get.
Yeah.
And try to keep the property afloat.
Okay. Just a curiosity question, and we'll probably go ahead and wrap this one up. They've opened the hotel up there on the mountain for Macklemore.
Yes, sir.
So how do you feel about that asset up there with the golf course? It seems like that place is, from what I can tell, and I don't really know, I don't have any inside information or anything, but I know they're building another golf course. They finished the hotel. I saw a little video of it here a while back, and they're talking about it's been more successful than they imagined. So what kind of asset do you think that is for Walker County? And I'm really speaking financially, tax-wise, and that sort of thing. How big of an asset do you think that is?
We don't know yet. With that 30-year abatement of tax-free, 30 years is a long time not to pay property tax. The sales tax on the rooms is still to be undetermined. It's undetermined, I'll say that. We will get sales tax on the rental or the hotel rooms, but I have no idea what that will, how much that will be, when it will start, what it will be as a success up there. Hopefully it will be a success. It's a great venue, and it is drawing some attention across the nation. So hopefully our little county will benefit from such a huge development that was on one of our most pristine venues. And it's here to stay, so we got to work with it.
Yeah. There's been a lot of money invested up there.
That's
We do
right.
have to work with it, make it profitable for everyone. So there hasn't been any legislation that you're aware of, or any county ordinances as far as taxes on rooms up there or anything like that?
They will have to pay the motel hotel tax that is standard for our county and the state. So that percentage will come to Walker County, which is the positive. So we just don't know how much that will be or when it will start.
Okay. All righty, we visited with Angie TEEMS today. We're going to wrap this up. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more information. Give us your contact information.
That's email would be contact@angieteams.com, and my website is angieteams4chairman.com.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie TEEMS. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you. Hi, I'm Angie TEEMS. Having worked inside Walker County government, I saw a constant lack of communication and transparency. Folks, change is needed. That is why I'm asking for you to vote for me to be your next chairman of the board of commissioners for Walker County. Thank you.